Did anyone feel that? Where's the goat? Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. Alright, so Rivals of Ixalan commanders. Lots of dinos? 6 out of the 9 legendary creatures that we got in Rivals of Ixalan are dinosaurs. So let's go through them in Wooburg order, shall we? Okay, so first up we have Zetalpa Primal Dawn. 6 white for a 4/8 flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Zetalpa, I would say, is probably better in the 99 in Gishoth type deck. Obviously, we're going to try and put as many dinosaurs as we can together, and so that would be a good one to have in there because it's such a beat stick. Alright, so next up in Wooburg order is blue, so that would be Nezahal Primal Tide. Nezahal is a 7/7 for 5 blue that reads, Nezahal Primal Tide can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card, and discard 3 cards, exile Nezahal, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Nezahal probably goes in a Kira Great Glass Spinner deck, or something similar where you want all your creatures to be able to counter spells. Nezahal's ability of not being able to be countered to begin with is pretty awesome. Kira giving everything that ability to counter the first spell that targets it is also really nice because it means Nezahal's not going anywhere, so it's probably better to be part of that deck. Okay, moving on to black with Tetzimoc Primal Death. Tetzimoc is a 6/6 for 4 black, so not a bad overall cost there, with Death Touch, and for 1 black and reveal Tetzimoc Primal Death from your hand, put a prey counter on target creature. Activate this ability only during your turn. When Tetzimoc enters the battlefield, destroy each creature your opponents control with a prey counter on it. So Tetzimoc would probably work in Anawan or Anafenza or Glissa if you like artifacts. Maybe Hippatra, Jaleva, I guess. I mean, you could just keep going. Both Kalitas's would work with this as a commander. Kresh. I stopped in the K's because there were so many commander potentials that had black in their identity that it was just, there was no point in keep going. Tetzimoc is better in the 99 on a black commander that just wants to kill everything. So I think that's good enough. Okay, so moving on to red, we have Etali Primal Storm. It's a 6/6 for 4 red. Again, pretty good cost. With whenever Etali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. So Etali is probably best to go into Jaleva. I mean, it's basically what the deck wants to do anyway. You're just getting another creature that can do the same thing as Jaleva pretty much. So that's where I would put it if I'm not going to build a Naya Dinosaur commander deck. But it's... Anyway. All right, so moving on to green, we've got Ghalta Primal Hunger. A 12/12 for 10 green. Ghalta Primal Hunger costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control, and it has trample. So Ghalta is probably going to go into the Gishath commander deck, as is every other dinosaur that I can find. So I would say make him part of your 99 in Gishath or some other Naya Sower type thing. Which brings us to our next card, and that would be Zakama Primal Calamity. It's a 9/9 for 6 red-green-white with Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. For 2 and a red, Zakama deals 3 damage to target creature. For 2 and a green, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and for 2 and a white, you gain 3 life. All 3 of those are very in flavor with their color identities. Zakama could easily be a alternative commander to Gishath in that it has all the right colors to make it essentially be a direct replacement. But it also has a lot of board presence in that you have all those abilities that you can do at instant speed. The only downside is that it doesn't have the ability to get other dinosaurs like Gishath does. Gishath is a better commander overall, but Zakama would be a good replacement for it if you didn't pull a Gishath in your pre-release kit or your packs. So, leaving the dinosaur tribe completely alone at this point, we're going to move on to our next gold card. Azor the Lawbringer, for 2 white, blue, is a 6/6 flying, and when it enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. Whenever Azor attacks, you may pay X white, blue, blue. If you do, you gain X life and draw X cards. So, Azor is a good commander, except that he's very expensive, which means he's going to be harder to cast. He does make it more difficult for your opponents to play spells, at least on the turn following his entry, which in a multiplayer game is probably a benefit, but again, he's going to be an instant target after that because he's prevented them from playing anything they wanted to play. That second ability where whenever he attacks, you can pay X white, blue, blue. I don't know how often you're going to be able to get that. You've already got the mana to do it, but you're not getting a lot of life. I think he's a fine commander, but I think there are better options out there. I think his last ability will not happen that often, and if it does, it won't make a big enough board state change to be relevant or worth the mana investment anyway. Okay, moving on, we have Elenda the Dusk Rose, a 1/1 for 2 white-black. Not the best, but she has lifelink, and whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Elenda the Dusk Rose. When Elenda dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. So that's any other creature, yours, theirs, it doesn't matter. This will be fantastic in a multiplayer situation where you can just sit back and let your friends kill each other. As soon as Elenda starts getting counters on her, she's going to start becoming a target. My thought is that she'll probably be better in a deck like Edgar Markov would make perfect sense. Being a vampire, it triggers Edgar. It triggers all the things that the Edgar Markov deck wants to do. I've already put her in my Cabal deck just because there are a lot of vampires and there are a lot of other cards like her, Blood Artist, Zulapart Cutthroat. Any creature where you get counters for other things dying is a good thing for this deck. I highly recommend you put her in your Edgar Markov deck because I know you have it. Moving on to our last card. You've waited this long. You know what I'm going to say. It's Kumena, Tyrant of Araska. All of the Merfolk fans are going nuts right now. It's a 2/4 for 1 green-blue. Tap another untapped Merfolk you control. Kumena, Tyrant of Araska can't be blocked this turn. Tap 3 untapped Merfolk you control. Draw a card. Tap 5 untapped Merfolk you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on each Merfolk you control. So this is an auto-include in any Merfolk deck, but I think it would do really well as the commander for that Merfolk deck. This is going to replace the Tishana commander option just because it's way better. If it weren't so good, you wouldn't be seeing a $25 price tag on it. Commander being only 3 mana to cast is significant in a commander game where you have to pay that commander tax every time it dies, and Kumena will probably die a couple of times. I would say Kumena is your commander. You silly Merfolk players, you. I'm looking at you, Prof. Alright, so if you've liked this video and it's helped you determine which of the new legendary creatures you want to build a commander deck around, or who you are going to be replacing an existing commander with, please like the video, subscribe, and if you could hit that bell button, that would be great. We'll see you next time.